Hey everyone, welcome to the Jason Wright Show. All right, today I've got an incredibly huge topic. I mean, this is a big one. This is giant. This is big time, baby. We're going to talk about marriage.
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today.
And here's the thing. I want you to know something right now. I think marriage is awesome. It is amazing, but that was not always the case. In fact, I once told my two young nephews, boys, getting married is the dumbest thing you could ever possibly do. Now, I'm not proud of that. Now, I told them at the time, just in my own defense, I told them, now look, if you guys decide that, your Uncle Jason will support you. I think it's great for some people like it, but in my opinion, and based on my rationale, it makes absolutely no sense. It's absolutely dumb. In fact, I had much the same mindset as one Cosmo Kramer. Let me let you see how Kramer thinks of the idea, the institution of marriage, as he advises his buddy, Jerry.
What are you thinking about, Jerry? Marriage? Family? Well, they're prisons. Man-made prisons. You're doing time. You get up in the morning, she's there. You go to sleep at night, she's there. You know what you do at dinner?
What? You talk about your day. How was your day today? Did you have a good day today or a bad day today? Well, what kind of day was it? Well, I don't know. How about you? How was your day? Boy, it's sad, Jerry. It's a sad state of affairs. I'm glad we had this talk.
Oh, you have no idea.
And then came Mrs. Wright, both literally and figuratively, because eventually she would become Mrs. Wright. And so I just wanted to bring this to you today to talk to the guys out there who are either contemplating marriage. And by the way, this is also for guys who are thinking about jumping into the game for the second time. That is the case with me. I was married before. It was not the best of circumstances, although I have two amazing, gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful daughters to show for it. And having been through some of the pain and the heartache of that, which I should probably do an entire episode on second marriages and why it works. But after being through that, going through that, I was cynical, I was jaded, and I was out of the game. And I was never going to get married again. In fact, not only was I not going to get married, but I am the least player that there is out there. I've never really dated in my entire life. So for me, it was going to be a life of just loneliness, celibacy, and essentially going to visit my daughters and their husbands when they one day got married and living a lonely, barren existence. To me, and that's what the girls used to make fun of me, my daughters being the girls. I would say, to me, the best life is a lonely, barren existence. And of course, I was being facetious. That's not really what I meant. And I wanted them to get married. And that's something I had to struggle with too, was here their dad was this guy that was so anti-marriage. And obviously my daughters, they want to be married one day. They want to start families. And so I didn't want to have them become jaded. So I had to walk that fine line there. But here's the thing. Since Mrs. Wright has come along, my life has changed for the better. So how has my life changed? Well, first and foremost, let's just say I'm a heck of a lot healthier. As a matter of fact, I'll show you what I looked like prior to Mrs. Wright as opposed to post Mrs. Wright. Just get ready. Here it comes. This is me prior to Mrs. Wright.
Damn!
I know. Take that in for a minute. If you need to excuse yourself to go throw up, feel free. And those of you who are listening to the podcast, I don't know if I'm going to actually release this as a podcast. This is more of a video type topic. So I may not release this on the podcast, but if you're not, please go to YouTube. But look at that. I'm fat. I'm bloated. This was probably around 6 years ago. And that's kind of close to what Mrs. Wright found when we first started dating. But one of the things I did, I started trying to lose a little bit of weight, but still I hadn't really dialed it in. And now this is what I look like after being with Mrs. Wright. So what's the difference? Well, the simple fact is, I believe that if you find the right woman, a woman does, in fact, make a man better.
You make me want to be a better man.
You see, that's one of the things that marriage, it exemplifies, I think, the absolute best of human nature that can be when it's done right. Okay. Now you have to be equally yoked. You have to find a partner that that accentuates your best traits and you accentuate theirs. But the bottom line is a man and a woman coming together to create a union and create this unified force for good and for love and for family. You get such a benefit from that as a man in particular. And so I want to tell all guys out there that might come across this and you might be listening to this. Marriage is a beautiful, beautiful institution. And I see how much better it makes me. It's something that I want other men to experience. Now, I'm never going to go out there and tell you that you should just go get married for marriage's sake. I'm not saying that, but I can tell you that it literally has made me a better man. And as you can see, it's made me much healthier. I mean, look, I've always kind of maintained decent health, but as you can see from that picture earlier, I mean, I was a fat, bloated, I drank, and since meeting Mrs. Wright, as a matter of fact, it's weird. I decided to stop drinking alcohol the week that I met Jemlyn. And so I have not had a drop of alcohol since I've known her. And then because I was with her and all of a sudden now I have someone that I want to share my life with, and she's a little bit younger than I am. I want to be healthy for her. And so therefore I have a reason beyond just my own personal selfish intents to actually be a better version of myself. And that brings me to the next point, that I can tell you that if it were not for Jemlyn, this podcast would not exist. It wouldn't. I wouldn't have the ambition, I don't think, to do this because I wouldn't have the goals that I've set. Like, as a matter of fact, before Jemlyn came along, my goal was to move back to my hometown and, kid you not, live in an Airstream out on my parents' property. They have a couple hundred acres out there, and that's where I grew up, and had this big plan to live out by a fishing pond. And I do think that could be a very beautiful, simple life, but I think that it would be shortchanging myself. And I'm so glad that I didn't go through with that plan, because now that I have my wife, I have such a richer, fuller life. And so I do think it's important to, and I give credit to Mrs. Wright for, this podcast and the books that I've written and the other things that I've done to just, again, try to be the absolute best version of myself. So men, let me tell you something. It's kind of crazy and it's kind of silly. And I know this will make some of you just, make you want to throw up in your mouth, but let me tell you something. Men are wired to want to impress a girl. From the time we're little boys on the playground till we're like in high school and we're playing football or playing baseball or whatever the case may be, we love to impress a girl. Well, men, when you have a wife, you're going to want to impress her. You're going to want to impress her because that never goes away. And in your attempt to impress your wife, to be a good man, to be a good dad, to be, again, the best version of yourself that you could be, then that's just going to make you a better human altogether. You've got somebody watching. You've got somebody that's going to hold you to account. You've got somebody, and a lot of times the beauty, there's so many different amazing qualities that women possess, but not the least of which of them is definitely not the fact that they will help you see reason. They will help calm you, and they'll be your encourager. They will be the one that when you say that you can't, when you say I give up, she'll be the one that says, the hell you're giving up. You can. You absolutely can. I believe in you. I joined you in this life because I believe in you. Prove me right. There's a great song by John Michael Montgomery that says, she thinks I could rope the moon. Great old country song. And I listened to that, and I can tell you, I have a marriage where I have a wife that song applies to. Now, I can't rope the moon. I can't. I don't think that I am quite the man that Jemlyn thinks I am. But here's what I do. I try every way in every single day to be that man that she thinks I am. It's the same with my daughters. I'm pretty hard on myself, and I don't think that I probably am quite the man that they think I am, but I sure as hell try to be. I work towards that. And so men, just having that girl to show off for, and that don't think that means, going and doing crazy stuff, jumping out of airplanes or whatever. Take that for whatever it means, showing off by being a good provider, being a good lover, and being attentive to her needs, both emotionally and physically and spiritually. showing off for her will make you a better man. So don't forget that. I think life is just so much richer whenever you get to go through it with somebody and you share amazing experiences. For example, last year, Jimlin and I had the opportunity to go to Europe and to stand underneath the Sistine Chapel with her and look at her and go, oh my God, is this not gorgeous? That was a lot better than just some random person that's like, hey, isn't that cool? I mean, the entire experience because here's the thing, those experiences that we shared together, they're not isolated to the incidents of when we were there in person. Instead, we can come home and either look at pictures or just have a conversation and say, remember when? Remember when we had tea at that beautiful little cafe? Remember we had that great croissant and coffee in France? Remember the little hotel that we stayed in Saint-Tropez? And you have those experiences that you share together that last forever, and you talk about them and they never go away. And there's so much more fun whenever you're able to talk and reminisce about the things that you did with this person, that you walk through life with them, and the experiences are just richer and fuller, and they come to life more because you have two brains, two people that experience it together, that you go, oh, but remember this and remember this. And it's just magical. One of mine and Jiblin's favorite spots on earth is this one bench in Central Park. It's in the south part of the park, and we will sit there and drink coffee and often say nothing, just watch the people. But when we're there and we're hanging out, it's magical. And that brings me to another part of how you have a really good marriage. And one of the things that's most fun for us is creating habits and routines together, living life together on a cadence. Every single Sunday, Jimlin and I have coffee out of the same two mugs. One says hubby and one says wifey. One of her friends gave them to us whenever we got married. And now we have this routine, this ritual, that we drink out of the same coffee cups every single Sunday. We've started this new thing where every single morning and every single evening, we're on our back porch, having coffee in the morning, and then in the afternoon, just recapping our day. And let me tell you something. What Kramer said about you sitting there going, how was your day? How was your day? You know what? It's actually beautiful. We do say, so how was your day? How was your day? What experiences did you have? Did somebody piss you off? Was there a high? Was there a low? Let's talk about them. And it's something that I look forward to. It's the favorite part of my day. Jimlin was never a movie watcher before we get together, and I love movies. I'm a movie nut. I'm a music nut. I love it. And so now I've been able to show her all my favorite films, and that's something we do now all the time. Nearly every single night, we will put on a movie. We may not watch the whole thing, but if we're going to sit down and watch 30 minutes, 45 minutes of a movie, it's a ritual. It's something we do. And having those rituals with another person, it just makes life richer. Life can be amazing if you let it. And to share an amazing life with another person, it has a compounding effect. It truly does. It truly, truly does. And again, I'll go back to what I said prior. Men, it will make you better. If the only person that you have to let down is yourself, then you're much more likely to live a little outside the guardrails. But when you have someone else that you're accountable to absolutely do your best for, then you're better. You will be better. So one of the things you've probably noticed in this video that I have not done is beat you over the head with statistics. Yes, the stats bear out that people who are married or men who are married live longer, have fewer heart attacks, are better off economically. There's all kinds of stats to bear that out. I don't want you to even think about that. This is just one dude to another. And ladies, share this with your sons and or your brothers or whatever. I don't care. This is just my personal testimony on marriage, because let me tell you something. It is the single greatest decision I ever made in my entire life, bar none, marrying my wife. Now, I said earlier, this is my second go around. Let me give you a little bit of background on that. I grew up in a Christian, faith-filled household. I am a Christian and I am a follower of Christ. But here's the thing that can be kind of tricky if you grow up like I did. And those of you who did, you know what I'm about to say, or you will probably relate to this. When you grow up in a house of faith, then what happens is you think it's just this cookie cutter formula that as long as you do what you're supposed to do, which the way I grew up is you date a girl, you marry her, you have kids, you live happily ever after, and that's it. It's just this formula. But it's kind of like if you just take that for granted, then it's like finding a recipe on Pinterest and following it to the T, and then it comes out and you're like, why does this not taste that great? This isn't very good. Well, it's because you didn't taste along the way. It's because you didn't make sure to buy the absolute best ingredients possible to put into it. You didn't take good care to make sure that the recipe wasn't just done according to what Pinterest told you to do, but instead, you took the care to make sure that what came out on the other side was absolutely savory and remarkable and wonderful. Marriage is the same way. So those of us who grow up thinking that if as long as we follow the rules, as long as we follow the recipe, it's going to be fine. We run a great danger of not doing it right. And so that's what I did. And as a result, I was disillusioned. I thought I had made the worst mistake of my life. I will never do that again. Again, praise God, I had these two beautiful girls as a result of this first marriage. But other than that, I couldn't fathom why anyone would do that. And then by God's grace, I woke up and realized that I might be, I didn't know for sure. I didn't see a video like this. And that's who I'm hoping this reaches, is somebody that was in that position where I was. Maybe you're listening to this and either you've never been married, you're a young person, or you're thinking about, you're saying, I'd never do that again. I don't know what your circumstance is. Who knows who the algorithm's going to point this to? But in case you're someone that was like me, that you thought, no way, I'll never do it, if only for very selfish motives. This is kind of a self-improvement podcast that I do here. I mean, for God's sake, the motto is improve always in all ways. I got a neon sign behind me here that says improve. That's what it's all about. I think the single greatest thing I ever did had nothing to do with focusing on my freaking VO2 max, had nothing to do with focusing on my mitochondria, had nothing to do with how many books I started reading or how many Andrew Huberman podcasts I listened to or how many episodes of Tim Ferriss I listened to. Of all the things I've done in my life, the single best decision I made was marrying my wife. Because here's what happened. By doing that, it made me want to be a better man, both spiritually. It made me want to be a better man, more like, and again, this is me. I know some of you listening to this will have different beliefs, so I understand that. I respect that. But as for me, it made me want to be more Christ-like. It made me want to start focusing on things like mitochondria health, VO2 max, just being a healthier person for my wife. It made me take into account that not only was my body a temple of God, but it was also the thing that I used to love my wife, to take care of her, to protect her, to provide for her. It made me want to be a better man. And that's the thing that I want all of you to realize, that I truly believe in my heart of hearts. And look, it's anecdotal. It's me. It's one man's testimony, but I don't think I'm unique in this. I know I'm not. I know I'm not. And you know I'm not. If you're listening to this, you know I'm not. I'm not unique. And so I just wanted to give a little bit of a message. Just hopefully you hear one guy, one dude out there that says, look, dudes, marriage is an awesome, awesome institution. It's beautiful. It's sacred. And I encourage you, if it's something you want, then go get it. And if you're questioning yourself, I'm just telling you from man to man, the single best decision I ever made in my personal endeavor. Now, I can't even say that it was in my endeavor to improve always in all ways. What I will tell you is that it made me want to improve always in all ways. I'm Jason. I'm married, and I'm out. Well, that does it for this episode of The Jason Wright Show. Thank you so much for listening. This has been a Texas Titan Media production. Fourth Wall did the music. And as always, thank you so much for listening. Please consider going out to jasonwrightnow.com and signing up for the Vitruvian letter. Also, please go out to iTunes. It takes like 30 seconds to just leave us a 5-star rating. It does wonders for the podcast. I would be so grateful. And with that, until we meet again, Go crush it and endeavor to improve always in all ways. I'm out.